Hello everyone, welcome to Founders Gyan, where we do Founders Ka Gyaan with a Tadka of Gyan. I'm your host Mansi Mutreja, and today we are sitting on 10th episode, and I'm glad to share that we are joined by Mr. Ankit Pathak, who is CEO and co-founder of Pop. Hi Ankit, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Mansi. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks for asking. So for everyone, I'll give a brief introduction about Ankit, and then I'll hand it over to him to hear from horse's mouth about himself. So Ankit is currently, as I just said, that he's co-founder and CEO of Pop, and he's also CEO of Consultat. And for news, I started my career journey with Consultat only, and Ankit has started his journey in Indore, and he was working with global organizations, reputed organizations like AWS and Sony. And he has spent over a decade at the intersection of technology, cloud computing, and now he's working with AI and especially I think agentic AI, right?
Yes.
So he's helping businesses move beyond AI hype and build solutions that actually create measurable business outcomes. So about, of course, we'll be hearing more about this from Ankit in the podcast. What is Pop about? So Ankit, would you like to introduce yourself? I've tried to
Sure,
just
Mansi.
summarize about you, but of course, it'd be better to
No,
hear.
no, I agree with you, and thank you so much for the introduction. I really appreciate it. So hello everyone. I'll start with something else. Like if somebody had told me 10 years ago that a guy from Indore would end up leading technology companies in the US, speaking about AI, building startup and still figuring life out every day, I probably would have laughed. But um, I'll be quick. My name is Ankit Pathak. I'm an entrepreneur, technology leader, and someone who is deeply fascinated by solving problems. Today, I lead consultant as a CEO of an IT consulting company, and we are also into staffing. And my I'm also building an AI business focused on helping companies automate work and scale faster. And the company called Pop. So I'm a co-founder and CEO of Pop as well. But honestly, titles are the least interesting part of my story. The interesting part is that I have failed more times than I have succeeded. I have built things that didn't work, hired people who left, chased opportunities that went nowhere, and spent countless nights wondering whether I was making the right decision or not. And what keep me going is a simple belief. Every problem is an opportunity if you are willing to stay in the game long enough. Whether it's technology, business, leadership, or a life, my journey has been about learning, adapting, and trying to create something meaningful. I'm excited to share some of those stories today,
Yeah.
but uh, that's something all about me in a 60 seconds. But let's gone through the journey with you, Mansi, and then look for the wins and failures and the lessons that come from both.
Yeah, sure, Ankit. So thanks for the lovely introduction. You really summarized well, and the fact that you've said that you've failed so many times. So that's a real founder who just expresses himself and does not, shares about his success, but rather more failures, because that's what real stories are. And somebody who's just starting with their journey, they are trying to be an entrepreneur and they're young. So this is what they actually need.
Agree.
Okay. So, okay, as you're founder of Pop, so first let's start with Pop. So, would you like to tell everybody what is Pop, why name Pop, and what does it do? How is it helping people currently?
Sure. So, pop is just like popping in the technology. That's something what I say. But honestly, pop was born from a frustration.
Okay.
Um, I think 2 years ago, everyone started talking about AI like it was magic, right? And every company wanted AI. Every consultant was selling AI, and but when I sit with business owners, they weren't asking for AI. They were asking, "Can you help me answer customer calls? Can you help me reduce manual work, or can you help me grow without hiring 10 more people? And that's when Pop started.
Okay.
Pop stands for solving practical business problems using AI. So we don't start with technology, we start with pain. And if a company is losing leads, we build an AI agents. If they are spending hours on paperwork, we automate it. If their sales team is overwhelmed, we create system that works 24 into 7. And the funny part is, some clients come to us saying, we want AI. And after a 1 hour conversation, I tell them, we don't need AI, we need a better process. Sometimes the best AI solution is no AI at all, right?
Right.
And that's something what we are building here. So why Pop is different from the market? Like everybody is talking about AI, why we are different? We are different because we don't build a generic SaaS product, Mansi, here. Okay, we build customized AI solution. So we understand your pain point and we build an AI agent based on those pain points. It's customizable to how you think, what's your business niche are, what is your business, and how you want it to operate it. So we call it AI employee rather than calling it an AI agent, because that's something what we build. You are hiring a digital assistant which is helping you to do all your manual jobs. So that's something what Pop does.
Okay, great. That was a good initiative because, again, we are in the world where we are just flooded by data. We are flooded by Gen AI terms, automation, AI everywhere. So, you've tried to focus on something which is more important, which is the pain point of the customers and the clients, as you just said, because, and of course, the trust factor also, because this is what actually matters to people. But I have a follow-up here. So as you're building people, and you just quoted an example that a client came to you who said, "Can you help us?" If I just understood it right, if I'm wrong, just please correct me. So they wanted to hire, like they wanted to build a solution without hiring 10 more people. Did
Yeah.
I hear right? So don't you
Yes,
think that this is also somehow impacting humans?
it is not actually. And I was also concerned. I'm also a human, right?
Uh,
It's not that I'm a CEO position, I'm a founder, I cannot be replaced. I can be replaced, right?
yeah.
So we have to understand AI is not there to replace human, it is there to argument with human. Many people don't understand that.
Hmm.
And you're absolutely right. And honestly, this is one of the biggest misconception about AI today. A lot of people think AI replacing 10 people. I actually think that's the wrong way we look at it. One of our client came to us because their team was drowning. Every new customers wants every new customer mean more phone calls, more emails, more paperwork, and their first instinct was, let's hire more people. And I've asked them a single question: before we hire more people, can we remove the work that nobody enjoys doing it? Imagine if I give you 8 hours of a task. Hey, just fill out those forms every day with the same details. You will get bored, right? You are not learning anything.
This makes complete sense. Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
so that's something what I talk about AI. AI is not there to replace human. It is there to argument
Right.
with humans. Yeah.
Yeah, because if a human is doing something where they're not upskilling themselves, they're just doing a redundant task, which of course a machine can do better, and something we do not have to actually put our efforts into. So we can rather spend that time in doing something more productive and which will also
Yeah.
help us upskill.
Yeah. And then I believe we are entering a world where human skills becoming even more valuable. Creativity, empathy, leadership, judgment, trust. AI can generate an answer, but it cannot build a relationship. It cannot analyze data, but it can't truly understand human ambition, fear, or purpose, right? So we have to understand that AI is not there to replace human.
Yeah, but I think most people, like, what they're scared of is that now everybody wants to become a AI engineer because they think that other roles are vanishing. Those roles are also getting replaced by AI engineers. But with
Mhm.
AI advancing more, so there's just a news which came, I think, 4 to 5 days ago by Anthropic that they are stopping their one more layer of development because they feel if they're going to do one more layer of development, then like it's over for humans, and they mutually agreed with government that they'll have to stop it for now, and they're giving some time to people to upskill themselves. So I think,
So
Huh.
So some role, Mansi, will definitely will change, right? Some jobs will disappear, but
Yes.
the new ones will
Yeah.
emerge, and that's the reality. We have to understand that as well.
Yeah. So
And I am optimistic, not because AI is perfect, but because humans are incredibly good at reinventing themselves, right?
yes.
And the fear is real. Every day I meet software engineers, designer, marketers, and even an AI engineer who are worried, but I don't think we are heading towards a world where humans become irrelevant. In fact, I have noticed something funny. 2 years ago, everyone wanted to become a software engineer. Today, everyone wants to become an AI engineer. 5 years from now, we probably have another title everyone is
Exactly.
chasing, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Right, because so yes, it's all about adaptability. As in new skills are coming, new technology is coming, we have to upskill ourselves and adapt to that technology. So that is something which is important, right? Okay, Ankit. So I think we've understood about what Pop actually is doing. So now coming to your journey, how did you start? So you, as you just said, so you started from your career journey from Indore, right? So at that time, we have seen people who are front benches, who are quite intellectual in classes, always very attentive, have very high aspirations. So what kind of a person were you? Were you one of those?
No, I was a backbencher, and then um, I was never interested in studies, not at all.
Okay.
If you had met me in school, you probably wouldn't have picked me as the guy sitting here today. And I wasn't the front bencher who always had the right answers. I wasn't the topper. I wasn't the student teachers would point and say, this kid is going to build companies one day. In fact, I was more curious than intelligent. Sometimes that get me into trouble because I would spend more time asking why than memorizing the answer for the exam. Right? I still remember growing up in Indore, like many middle class families. The dream was simple: study hard, get a good job, have a stable life. Entrepreneurship wasn't something people around me talked about every day. But what changed my life wasn't that I was the smartest person in the room. It was that I become comfortable being the most persistent person in the room. And that's the lesson I wish more young people understood. We celebrate talent too much and persistence too little.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Undervalued.
I'll tell you my
Hmm.
yeah, and my journey was very simple. I was not a good student. I was very naughty student, I would say. But I used to do and business. I think it's in me. I used to when I was in class seventh, eighth. I remember I started selling comic books.
Oh,
So I started renting comic books. I have a bunch of comic books, and then I decided to have like why not to rent it. So in like 5 rupees, I started renting out per day those
wow.
comic books. When I came in a college, I started doing brokerage work. I started doing events. I started my own company when I was in college first year, which is like an event management company. Where I used to throw parties in Indore. So that's something what where I learned. I used to sell T-shirts as well.
That's
I belong to a good family. It's a middle class family. My parents were government employees, but
great.
um, that that earning money and then the business mindset was always there. So that's something I think the most of the learning I got, rather than my doing my bachelor's or my school, it's from those businesses.
Okay, so I think it's there from the start. It was in you to earn money, doing whatever, and now you've come so high, reached heights. So that's amazing.
Also, by the way, I'm a poet. I used to write Hindi poetry, so I have almost like 80 nationals in Hindi poetry. I started doing poetry from class sixth. And I used to do stage shows all over the India. Okay, that's something also. I was also where kind of a theater artist, so I also got selected for NSD. I used to do theaters in locally in Indore. So I'm not only like a guy who is doing businesses or business mindset. I also a art lover as well. I love playing guitar. I love music. So that's something what in me from the childhood.
Wow, so you're a know-all person. You've expertise in everything. Nice. That's amazing. Like poetry and doing art also, and you've basically done everything.
No, not everything.
But you multi-talented for sure.
Like,
Okay.
I don't think so, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So, and while you were introducing yourself, you also mentioned a few points about like you failed multiple times. So, would you like to put some light on that? What were those moments like?
Mhm. Sure. So, if I talk about the failures, right? And first of all, I don't think I am multi-talented, Mansi. I think I have just failed in enough areas that to accidentally learn a few things along the way. So when people look at someone today, they see the company, the title, the podcast, the speaking engagements. What they don't see are the moments behind the scenes, right? I remember times when I was absolutely convinced a business idea would work and it didn't. I remember hiring people I thought would stay for years and they left. I remember spending months building products that customer didn't want. And that's very humbling experience because the market doesn't care how hard you worked. It only cares whether you solved a real problem or not. And one of the toughest lesson for me was realizing that efforts and result are not the same thing. There were days when I questioned myself, am I doing the right thing? Should I just take the safe route? Or every entrepreneur has those conversation with themselves, usually at 2 a.m. when nobody else is awake, right? So I used to do that. But looking back, every major success in my life came directly from those previous failures. Failure wasn't the opposite of success. It was the tuition fee, I would say. And if there were one thing I have learned, it's basically a failure only becomes permanent when you stop learning from it. Otherwise, it's just a part of the story.
Right. Beautifully put it. So I think yes. So like most of the times, what we do is we think, okay, they are CEOs. They just directly build. They have earned a lot of money. They've earned that title position, but we don't understand that there's a lot of hustle behind that, and the moments where they fail, they have struggled because all that comes on to them. So it's their shoulders who are carrying all that weight of failures. So you've
Right.
rightly put it. Yeah. So, as you were just mentioning about, so you also had opportunities that many people like, usually they dream of because everybody wants to have their own business. There are people who want to do jobs also because they feel it's more secure and the money which is coming will be constant. But still, there are a lot of people who dream of becoming entrepreneurs, having their own companies. So, what you were also working for other organizations, right? So, what was that one push moment which you realized that now you wanted to start your own company?
Sure, Mansi. So definitely, I started my career in Pune with Consultad. Okay,
Okay.
then within 1.5 year, I got an opportunity to come to US and meet our clients. Then I got my visa, started working for Centene, one of the healthcare client from St. Louis, Missouri. I worked for Sony Music after that as a Python developer. Then I worked for Amazon like AWS, and through them I was helping JPMC to move from legacy to cloud.
Okay.
Okay, and I really feel the question you asked because people often assume there was a dramatic movie like moment where I woke up and said I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Honestly, it wasn't like that. I had a good career. I was working, learning, growing, and from the outside everything looked settled, right? But inside I always had this curiosity. Whenever I saw a problem, my first thought wasn't whose job is it to fix this. My thought was how would I solve it. And the real turning point came when I realized spending more time thinking about ideas than my actual job. and I see inefficiencies, customer pain points, opportunities in the market, and I couldn't stop thinking about them. And eventually, I had to make a choice: either spend the next 10 years wondering what if, or take the risk and find out. And trust me, entrepreneurship is far less glamorous than social media makes it look. Right? If you go on Instagram, scrolling some reels and checking out, hey, no, it's not like that. The first day you start a company, you don't become CEO, you become the salesperson, recruiter, customer support representative, accountants, and sometimes even the guy fixes the printer. Sometimes you have to fix the Wi-Fi as well. But what attached me wasn't the money, it was the freedom to build, the ability to create something that didn't exist yesterday and see it impact real people. And for me, entrepreneurship wasn't an escape from the job. It was an opportunity to solve bigger problems, and the curiosity eventually become stronger than my fear. It's very simple.
Yeah, so I think you had that curiosity also, and also it was in combination with the empathy to solve people's problem. And
Yes.
that empathy was born your like you becoming the CEO. And so like we're discussing about this. So once when you wanted to, so what, how did that transition look like? So you were already in your job and then you took a transition of the role of a CEO, or was it like you completely left your job to become a CEO? Because then I think there might be some questions from your family. Did they support you in that?
Like, I'll tell you, it's a story behind it, how I become the founder and CEO. So I was working for Consulted for almost like 8 years, right? In my last project 3 years back with Amazon, okay?
Okay.
So I was working with Amazon. It was a great project. I was working as assistant director of engineering there. And then the founder of Consulted, Bharat Bhate, right? He reached out to me one day, and then he randomly reached out to me. I was doing my own job, and then I was with Amazon working there. And then he asked me, "Hey, bro, I'm looking for somebody to handle Consulted because I want to open something else. I want to look for solving other problems as well." And he was looking for a CEO role. So he asked me, and I think first, definitely I gave a thought because I was getting a good salary in Amazon, everything settled, 9 to 5 job, all good. But then when he asked me, I thought that's something what I wanted to do from my childhood, right?
Yeah.
So after thinking for almost like 3 4 days, I said yes to him. Okay, and then I became the CEO of Consultad. But still, I was not happy. I was like, CEO is the same like kind of an employee, right? I was.
But why? You became the CEO.
No, Mansi, I'll tell you, the business was already built, right? I did nothing. He was the one who was the founder. He built everything, and then I was just got the position, and then helping to grow the company. But I was not happy with that role, and I was never happy with that kind of never like CEO, founders, all those CTO. I'm not fond of positions, honestly speaking, Mansi.
Not
I
shine.
just want to do my work with loyalty. Okay, that's something what I want. And if you're loyal to your work, you can achieve everything. Even if you're working like 2 hours, do it with loyalty. I was very lazy guy, and I'm still very lazy. I don't like waking up in the morning, early mornings. I hate doing that. But still, like the one thing I know is that if I'm sitting in front of my computer for 3 hours, I'll do that work with the loyalty. So, cut to the point that he reached out to me to become a CEO. I said okay, and working for a 6 7 months, I was like, no, this is not like something I want to do. And then I asked him, can I be a co-founder with you where we can start something else, an AI company? And he already thinking and researching a lot in AI. He was pushing me from a beginning that, hey, bro, let's do AI, let's do it. And I was like, no, this is a business. We are getting money. Everything is good. And then I realized that why not to build something your own? So this is how I started Pop with him and become the co-founder. So that's the story behind it. Okay. And I would say whenever you are working a stable job and suddenly tell your family that you want to start a company, they don't hear opportunity, they hear risk, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was I was coming to. That was a very brave move, and your family supporting in that because For you also, look, personally, if somebody will get that title, so you had a different mentality altogether because you didn't want that shiny title. Rather, you wanted to work with loyalty and dedication and start something from scratch where you're building solutions. So that was a
And
brave.
honestly, I can't blame my family, right? My family
Of
came from
course.
a very traditional middle class mindset, right? For them, a good job means stability, a predictable paycheck, a security is something that what they look for. Entrepreneurship sounded exciting on YouTube, but at the dinner table in it sounded terrifying.
Yeah, and for parents
So,
on YouTube, it doesn't sound exciting. They only want something which is stable for you, and they believe in that.
and if you belong to Indian middle class family,
You
you
can't
cannot
expect
think of it
support.
as well. Yeah.
Definitely. You cannot expect for support from them. Nice. So this is a very interesting story. And I was actually looking into your profile. So I saw that you became a CEO of Consult at first, and then I saw that you started your own company. So that was really amazing. But
Yes.
but that gave birth to Pop, and I really hope it reaches heights. So, okay. And
Thank you.
when you were actually, building everything, and at that moment, so were all also there were times when you were genuinely questioning your journey?
Uh, Very interesting question, Mansi. Definitely you, and I'm a guy who question every time,
Okay.
more times than I would like to admit. So, so I question a lot. I think one of the biggest myth about entrepreneurship is that they are always confident. The reality is that most founders spend a surprising amount of time asking questions to themselves, right? There were a moment when revenue was down, okay, deals failing through, key people left, projects didn't work out, and I was sitting there and thinking, am I making the right decision? Okay, what people see today is a highlight reel. What they don't see like they don't see are the nights when you are staring at the wall at 2 a.m. and running the same problem through your head
Right.
for 100 times, right? As a CEO, one thing I have learned very quickly is that when things go wrong, there isn't always someone above you with the answer. Sometimes you are the person everyone is looking at, even when you are still trying to figure out yourself. So I remember one period where multiple challenges hit at the same time: business pressure, team pressure, financial pressure, and for the moment, I genuinely wondered if I should just go back to a comfortable corporate role. But then something interesting happened. Every difficult period taught me a skill that success never could: patience, resilience, decision making under pressure. That's something what you look for. And today, when I look back, I realize I wasn't building the company during those tough time. Those tough time were building me, right? And that's something really important you have to think.
Yeah.
And throughout the journey that I follow principle to be kind and humble. Okay. That's one thing is really important to me. It's not about like being kind and humble to only to people, but to yourself as well, right? Do you know there's a technique called Ho'oponopono? It's a Hawaii technique to heal yourself. Okay. So it's basically a meditation technique where you sit quietly, okay, and thank yourself. You say phrases like, hey, thank you so much to yourself. I love you. Forgive me to your body.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's something what I used to do as well. I'm again trying to do it, but the technique is really amazing, right? You have to be humble to yourself, Mansi, kind to yourself, and even your client, around people, your family. People always ask me why you're kind, and then I'll tell you, if you ask anybody in the company, okay, they treat me like friend. They never treat me as a CEO, and that's something what I don't want, that they treat me as a CEO. For me, I always, whenever the new joinee comes, I tell them just kick the door and come and talk to me.
Yeah.
I never like sitting in cabins. I always like sitting with people. I every day I go to their desk and sit with them. I laugh with them, crack jokes. That's something what I want. Because I was the one where they are starting, right? Remember when I joined consultant, I was like the same guy, then middle class family, on same salary. I joined with like in consultant, and then when I realized that they are same like me, right? Why not to push them as well? Why not to, if I'm growing, I want them to grow with me. That's something how I work.
Yes. And I think one
Sorry
of
for the big lecture, Mansi. I
No, no,
know.
no. We're just, having a good conversation, and it's important to know all these things because, so one thing, of course, I wanted to ask you, and I think you've already mentioned answered about that was that even as an employee right now, so whenever we make some mistakes, so let it be like we're working for some client and we have made a major mistake and we're so scared that now what should we answer? How will we tell? So we're just trying to find a way out of it. So being a CEO, as you just said, that there's nobody you can get answers from. It's you who people are looking answers from. So it's a lot of pressure also to take, and because if something fails, what happens then? So it's a lot of pressure to take. And
Right.
as you said about like new joinees, so it's important that when you are building something, if you really want to earn that respect, that truly comes from if you're their friend, if they feel very comfortable around you, that okay, they can share anything with you. So this is what a good environment you're building, which is not having a lot of toxicity because we always hear about corporate politics, toxic environments. So it's important to also eradicate that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So now another thing I wanted to talk about was that we have talked about that how your business, because everybody is making AI companies today, because this is some shiny thing which everybody is chasing. Earlier, everybody was trying to become AI native. Now everybody is trying to become agentic native. So, what do you think that there are founders who misunderstand about AI? Like they do not even need AI for such things, but they're just trying to fit into that. So, do you think that there are founders who are making some mistakes about misunderstanding AI?
Um, I think I'll not comment on that, like they're making mistakes, but definitely,
Or any
I,
precautions?
yeah, yeah, so it's kind of a mistake. So I'll tell you. Let me be very fair for this question. I think one of the biggest mistakes founders make today is starting with AI instead of starting with the problem. I will give you a simple example. Imagine someone walks into doctor's office and say, "I need surgery." Right? A good doctor doesn't immediately perform surgery. The first question is, "What is the problem?" And I think the same thing is happening in the AI industry today. Many founders where are saying, "I need AI, I need agent, I need an AI native company." And my question is always, why?
Yeah,
What is the problem you're solving?
correct.
Sometimes I sit with business owners, and after an hour of discussion, I tell them, you don't need AI. You need a better process, a CRM or a single automation.
Correct.
They look surprised because they expected me to sell them a fancy AI solution, right? But it was not like that. The danger with trends is that people start chasing technology instead of outcomes. 10 years ago, everyone wanted a mobile app. Then everyone wanted a blockchain. Not
Yeah,
everyone wants an AI agent. Technology trends come and go. Business problem stays, right? So the founder who will win are not the ones with the most AI in their pitch, but they are the ones who understand their customer deeply, because customers never wakes up and say, I hope someone sells me an AI agent today. They wake up and say, I hope someone solves my problem. And that's very different mindset, right? So that's something I would say the mistake they are making, that definitely AI is a very fancy word and we think we should bring AI, it will bring the money.
yeah.
Is not.
Yeah, like force fitting it. So if it naturally fits, if you really have a problem which needs automation, then fair enough, right? But not fitting it forcefully. So yeah,
Yes.
makes sense that it's important to know what the real problem is and then build, even if you want to build AI on top of it, then build AI on top of it.
Yes.
There's less than a minute. We'll rejoin. Is that fine?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Just take 10 minutes more of your time and then we can wrap this up.
Okay, let me check my calendar. 10 minutes more, I have to check my calendar. Give me a minute, Mansi, okay? Just a minute.
Sure.
Mm,
Uh, okay, Ankit. So now I want to understand, like, this is for people who just want to start fresh, or maybe for people like me, that if we want to become an entrepreneur and we want to start from scratch today, but we do not have a very good network with us, no capital. So how do you think we can do that business? Somebody, anybody who's just trying, but they do not have any good network, no capital.
why you want to become an entrepreneur, Mansi? You're asking me question, I know, but why you want to become an entrepreneur?
Not me,
Yeah,
anybody.
I know.
Huh?
But you mentioned, right? Take example, if I want to become an entrepreneur.
Yes. So let's say if I have some idea in my mind, some
Mhm.
again, maybe some problem I want to solve or something I really want to do. So that is the idea I have. Now, if I go to companies who are providing fundings, I'll have to pitch that idea. I'll have to create my own network. So how do you think somebody can get started on this journey with that?
Yes, I know I'm laughing, but um, it's a very fascinating word, right? CEO, entrepreneur, founder. But I would say, jokes apart, it's a fantastic question, and I'm probably going to give an unpopular answer. I
Okay.
think a lot of people believe they need funding to start a company. I actually think what they need first is a customer.
Okay.
So when I was starting out, I didn't have massive network. I didn't come from a business family, right? I didn't have investor waiting to write checks. What I had was curiosity and willingness to talk to people, right? And in fact, if I met a young entrepreneur today with an idea, my first question wouldn't be how much funding do you need? It would be who is willing to pay for it tomorrow, right? Because funding doesn't validate an idea, customers do, right? I remember early in my journey I spent less time building PowerPoint presentation and more time talking to real people. I wanted to understand their frustration, what kept them awake at night, what problem they would happily pay to solve.
Yeah.
And here's the funny thing. Most people spend months looking for investor before finding a customer. I think it should be opposite, right? The first network comes from helping people. Your first capital comes from solving problem. Your first investor are often your first customers. So if someone is listening today and has no money, no network, no connection, don't panic, guys. Neither did many successful entrepreneurs when they started. Start with one customer, solve one problem, get one success story, and then repeat it, because businesses are not built on funding rounds. They are built on trust and one customer at a time. You have to just make one customer happy. That's something how you can start.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that really makes sense. But I know to find an investor, to find first customer, both are difficult problems to crack, right? But finding one customer also you need a lot of hard work and effort to convince them to trust in you because they are your first customer and do not have any proof to show them to. So what do you think on a scale of 1 to 10, how easy it is or how difficult it is to convince somebody?
Very amazing question, Mansi. So I was talking about your first customer, repeat it, and then, but if I am being completely honest, I would rate it an 11 out of 10. Getting your first customer is one of the hardest thing you will ever do as an entrepreneur, because you are asking someone to trust you before you have earned the right to be trusted.
Right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Think about it from a customer perspective. You are saying, I have no case studies, no big brands names, no long track record, but trust me, that's the stuff to sell. I remember early in my journey, I would hear no far more often than yes. And at first, I thought people were rejecting me. And later, I realized they weren't rejecting me, they were protecting themselves. And that changed my mindset completely, Mansi. Instead of trying to convince people, I started trying to understand them. What are they worried about? What risk are they taking? What outcomes do they actually want? Do you know, for the pop, we almost like took, I remember in first 2 months, we were targeting small medium businesses, and we did more than 300 discovery calls, more than 300 discovery calls. And I remember only 30 of them went to demo calls, and out of 30 we got only one contract, one or two contracts. I remember very small, like $5,000 of a contract, not like a big contract. Okay, so don't try to convince people, try to understand, not people, like customer, I would say. Start trying to understand them, what they are really worried about. And here is the lesson I learned the hard way. People don't buy when they understand your product. They buy when they feel understood. Sometimes one customer took like 20 meetings, sometimes it took 2 months for a follow-ups. Sometimes they said no and come back 6 months later. So yes, it's incredibly difficult, but the goal isn't convincing everyone. The goal is to find the few people who genuinely have the problem, and you are solving that problem. Because once you solve the problem for one customer, getting the second customer becomes easier, and then the third, then the 10th. The hardest customer you will ever get is your first one. And after that, you are no longer selling an idea, you are just selling proofs, right? So you have to make sure that it's definitely hard to crack your first customer, but go with the flow. Try to understand what, if you're coming to me for a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not your first customer. I can see your old videos, how you're doing. But imagine if you're reaching out to me first time, you will never try to convince them. Tell them what you are trying to solve for people, right? Through this podcast.
Yes.
Very simple.
Exactly. Yeah, so I think you've brought a vision to birth, which is very different and which can change the mindsets of a lot of people because we actually think that just convincing the customer is enough, and this is what is important. But
Yeah.
you really put it very right that the customers are also trying to protect themselves. They also have a very big risk to take. So it's how we mitigate that risk for them.
Agree.
Yeah. Thanks, Ankit, for this. Okay. So this is actually a very good vision. Okay. So I want to know one difficult decision you've taken as a CEO of Pop or Consultant when you laid somebody off.
Very, very difficult decision I took. And for me, firing is not a difficult decision, I'll tell you. I am, I'm very, very, very scared while firing people. I hate doing that,
Okay.
honestly speaking. It took me almost like 6, 7 months, because firing is also part of a job, of my job, right? It's not always hiring. But the one thing is someone asked me, is difficult part in my job is firing somebody, and that I have to learn slowly. And that's something I'm really afraid of doing it. But
Okay.
I think one more harder decision as a CEO are I would say are never about technology or product or strategy. They are about people, right? And one of the most difficult decision I have to make was when when the business realities and the team realities didn't align, right? There were a moment when I genuinely cared about people, believed in their potential, and wanted them to succeed, but the business couldn't continue operating in the same way. And those are days nobody prepares you for. And as an employee, you worry about the role. As a CEO, you worried about hundred of people's, their families, their career, and the future of the company at the same time.
Right.
I remember sitting with a decision and asking myself, what's the kind thing to do? What's the right things to do? Sometimes those answers aren't exactly the same, and 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 that was a tough lesson. Leadership is not about making everyone happy. Leadership is about making the best decision you can with the information you have, even when it's uncomfortable. And that's something is very difficult for me.
That's the hard part of being a CEO, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me three reasons that why would a CEO fire an employee? So one you said that people needs it, but give me two more reasons that why would a CEO fire an employee?
I wish any CEO would have to fire anybody. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a very dangerous question because people think employees get fired only because they are not good at their job. In my experience, that's actually not the most common reason. The first reason is definitely a performance. If someone constantly isn't delivering results despite a support, coaching, training, enough time to improve, eventually a decision has to be made. Not because they are bad or person or but because the role and the person are no longer a fit, right? The second reason is attitude. Skills can be taught much faster than attitude can be changed. And I have seen highly talented people damage their entire team because of negativity, ego, politics, and lack of accountability. One toxic person can hurt 10 high performers. Agree? And the third reason is trust. For me, this is the biggest one. If honestly, integrity or a trust is broken, it becomes very difficult to rebuild. And a mistake is fine. We all make mistakes. In fact, I prefer employees who tell me they made a mistake rather than hide them. But when someone acknowledgedly misleads the team or breaks the trust, that's much harder to problem to solve. So if I had to summarize it, performance issue, culture or attitude issue, and the trust issues. And interestingly, most people are not fired because they made mistakes. They get fired because they stopped learning, stopped taking leader ownership, stopped being honest about the mistakes. That's something what I say. But still, please do not fire.
Yeah, but actually, again, I'll say that you put it very beautifully. Why? Because most of the times we blame ourselves. But it's important to also understand that employees can also, lag at attitude, as you just said. They're not fitting into proper culture, having that negativity. Because if one senior person, mostly I'm not like commenting on that, but mostly comes second reason comes from senior people where they think now they're at a very superior level, so they can command people, they can spread that. Nobody have the power to say that anything to them. So they keep on doing that. And people
No, you also worked for consultant, right? In when you worked for consultant, like 2021 or
2022
22?
to 2023, a year.
Okay, in a year. What do you think about consultants culture? If I ask you the leadership,
There the culture was like, I honestly till date I tell it to everybody that that was one of the best companies I've ever worked for. And the culture, everything there was literally
and it's not about work, right? It's maybe about the people around you, about
amazing.
the culture, right?
The culture, of course. So
Okay.
the culture speaks in itself, and it was till date. I really appreciated that it was my first company, and I am so glad that I worked there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. We paid Mansi to tell this line.
I got paid at that time. Okay. All right, Ankit. So for this section of the podcast, so coming to the final question.
Mhm.
What is one piece of advice you would give to anybody who's watching this podcast or Founders Ka Gyaan? For any aspiring entrepreneur who's watching this, so what should they take? What should be the key takeaways from this podcast?
So first of all, guys, honest to yourself, loyal to yourself, and loyal to your work. That's something really important. And three things I always say is that first, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and third, your business. And if there is one thing I would want people to take away from this conversation, it's don't wait until you feel ready. I think one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is I will start when I have more money, more experience, a bigger network, or more confidence. The truth is, most entrepreneurs start before they are ready. I certainly wasn't ready. I didn't have all the answers. I still don't. So just do it. And what I have learned is that success. No problem. Yeah.
Okay, so the final question for this section is, uh, what is one piece of advice you would want to give to people who are watching Founders Ka Gyan episode? What is one key takeaway you would want them to take?
So I would say, guys, be honest to yourself. Okay. Loyal to yourself. That's something really important. And I always say one thing first, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and then take care of your business. And if there is one thing I would want people to take away from this conversation, Mansi, it's basically don't wait until you feel you are ready. Just do it. And I think one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is I'll start when I have more money, more experience, a bigger network, or more confidence. The truth is, most entrepreneurs start before they are ready. And I certainly wasn't ready. I didn't have all the answers. Still don't. So don't wait for a right time. And what I have learned is that success rarely comes from knowing everything. It comes from being willing to take the next step even when you can't see the entire staircase. Right. And I would also encourage people to stop chasing trends and start chasing problems. Don't build an AI company because AI is popular. Don't start a startup because entrepreneurship looks exciting on social media. Build something because you found a problem that genuinely bothers you and you can't stop thinking about solving it. And finally, remember this, your first version will be really, really bad. Your first will be really, really bad. Your first product even will be worst. Your first customer conversation will probably be awkward, and that's okay. The goal isn't about to being perfect. The goal is all about I'll be perfect one day,
Yeah.
right? So dream big, start small, stay humble, keep moving forward, and you'll be surprised how far consistency can take an ordinary person. So that's something what I want to say.
Thanks a lot, Ankit. Thanks a lot for sharing this because most of the people they wait for the right time when I'll have this, when I'll have that, then I'll start. But all like not just for this answer, but all the responses you've given, everywhere you've mentioned that it's important to have the first customer, and all the insights you've shared, they're very valuable and mind changing, game changing. Thanks a lot. So
Thank
now
you.
we have a small rapid fire round where I'll be asking you a question and you have to answer instantly. So shall
Okay.
I begin?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
One word that describes entrepreneurship.
Uh, Loyalty.
Okay. Founder you admire the most. You cannot take your own name.
Okay, if I have to don't take my name, then definitely Steve Jobs.
AI trend you're most excited about?
Um, I think AI agents working alongside humans.
Okay, nice. Biggest startup myth?
Uh, Maybe I don't know. Biggest startup mistake. Uh, Building before validating, or the that funding equals success.
Yeah, fair.
Sorry.
No worries. One
Yeah.
habit that changed your life?
One habit that changed my life is continuous learning. That's something really important, guys.
Funding or profitability?
I would say profitability.
Okay. One thing you wish more founders talked about very openly.
Uh, I would say self-doubt. Most founders look confident on LinkedIn and terrified in their own heads. So I wish more people talked about it.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Definitely tea, but a black coffee is something with I start my day.
Okay. Build fast or
So,
build right?
so before you ask me next question, I would say coffee wakes me up and chai feels like home.
Okay. Very nice. Being from India, of course, I was expecting tea.
Yes.
Okay. Build fast or build right?
I think build fast, then build right. Because if nobody wants it, it doesn't matter how perfectly you have built it. First, I would say prove people want it and then make it scalable and beautiful. So the perfect product, nobody uses it, it's still a failure. So I would say build fast, fail fast, learn fast.
One book every founder should read.
So, guys, my book is coming really soon, so you have to read it. But I love the book by Ben Horowitz. Maybe I'm pronouncing the last name not right. It's basically the book called The Hard Thing About Hard Things.
Okay. Nice. One last question is your go-to thing when you're really disturbed or frustrated.
Music. Listening to a good music is really important for me.
All right, Ankit. So with this, we comes to the end of the podcast. And of course, you're a very special guest because I already know you, and it was an opportunity to host you on Founders Ka Gyaan, and you agreed on top of that. So that was a cherry on the top. Thanks a lot. And honestly speaking, nobody is paying me for this, but all the valuable responses you've shared, so they were very unique, and the vision was really unique, and I really appreciate. And I have really learned a lot. So that I'm sure that everybody who's watching the podcast out there will learn a lot. Thanks a lot for being there.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mansi, for the opportunity, and that's honestly means a lot to me. And what I really enjoyed about this conversation is that we didn't just talk about the startups, AI fundings or business. We talked about that the human side of the journey and the doubts, the failure, and the difficult decision and the lessons that comes with them. So thank you so much. The future doesn't belong to people who have all the answers. It belongs to the people who are willing to ask better questions and take their action anyway. So thank you so much, guys, and please follow Mansi and her channel.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Wishing you great heights of success for Pop and Concept that.
Thank you,
Thank
Mansi.
you, Ankit. Bye.
Bye bye.